Every parent knows that in order for their child to succeed as an adult, a good education is a must. Now, I know we all probably have different ideas about what constitutes a good education, but I think we can probably all agree that pretty high on the list is providing an atmosphere where students are not only encouraged to learn, they're excited to learn. The big question then, of course, is what's the best way to accomplish that? It's a major topic of discussion for virtually every school administration across the country. But here in Wilder, they've stopped talking and started making learning personal.
Looking closely at their students, it was very, very evident that the traditional approach was never going to get us where we wanted to get to. So we kind of looked at every single student individually and how can we bring in something that's going to help us move every student forward.
It wasn't easy, but in his first 3 years as Wilder's elementary school principal, Jeff Dillon and his staff raised math, reading, and language scores by an impressive 60%. But even with that, the district still struggled to educate a student body with hugely diverse needs.
If we don't advocate for our children, who will, right? Not meaning our parents don't, but the system of education doesn't advocate for kids. It advocates for a system. And that's really where we began to step in, think about the personalization of learning, and that become the way we can advocate for kids.
Well, it's a radical shift for education. I mean, a lot of people talk about personalized learning, but they don't do it, I don't think, to the extent that they're doing it here, where kids really drive exactly what they want to do, when they want to do it, where they want to do it.
The real impetus for change happened in 2016 when a grant from the Apple Corporation for schools with a poverty level of 95% or higher put a brand new iPad into the hands of every student and teacher in the district and provided the software and training for the district to implement a personalized, mastery-based instructional model.
So now we're training teachers, not just that we have the devices, but now how do you use the device? How do kids use the device? To really be able to show mastery of an understanding of information, but be creators of information, not just consumers.
The most important part of any learning process is retention. Teachers can shovel knowledge at kids all day long, but if they don't retain it, they're not learning. For decades now, the traditional mantra has been test scores. If students score well on tests, they must be learning, right? But case study after case study has shown that just because some students do poorly on tests doesn't mean that they aren't retaining what they've been taught. And those same studies show that some students who score high on tests don't really retain all that information long term. Bottom line, every student is different, and Wilder's personalized learning program allows them to progress at their own pace and at their own level.
The goal is that they are achieving mastery. In Wilder, we've decided that 80% or higher is considered mastery. So if a student is below mastery, then teachers mentor and work with that student until they achieve that.
Wilder is a small school with just over 500 kids from K through 12. But because of the high poverty level, the district is facing a 40% turnover rate year to year. That's 200 kids leaving school and sometimes returning on a given school year. So it's pretty easy to see how these students could fall behind very quickly in a traditional classroom where the same day-to-day schedules are strictly adhered to for every student.
First year I taught here, students were disengaged. They might be putting their head down. They might be just looking at you going, I don't know what to do. Or you'd have higher students that knew exactly what to do and they were bored. And with personalized learning, it gives the higher students a challenge, gives the middle group a challenge, gives the lower group that same challenge, but all the work is different. That really is the greatest strength of personalized learning.
So this is how non-traditional it is. So students move based on mastery. So I go to maybe what we typically would call a first period class. I don't leave that class and go to another class until I've mastered the content I need to master for that day. And then I move. A bell doesn't tell me when to move. My mastery tells me when to move.
I think that having the iPads gives us a lot of opportunities and gets us kind of ready for the real world, taking responsibility and stepping up to do what we need to do. So I think that's just getting us ready for college more than it would at a traditional school.
As important as it is for the students to buy into a new innovation like personalized learning, parents need to understand how it works as well.
My son is in second grade and he has taken this technology and just thrives on it. He absolutely loves it.
And the way Wilder has it set up, it's a lot like what we were trying to do with homeschool. except they had the resources we didn't have. When we were teaching him to read, he was struggling with just the motivation to remember all the sounds of the letters, and now he's reading, writing. He's gaining very, very fast things. They're doing amazing things in the school.
Wyatt's kind of had some issues in the past with his ADHD and ODD, and so he's had some behavior problems. He was really behind. A lot of classes have passed him on, and here with individualized learning, they have the iPads, and they're still doing a lot of stuff that's not, you know, electronic, but he's gone up, I think last year alone was 3 grade levels.
The freedom that they offer students here, to me, is remarkable. I mean, even in the elementary school, they can be in the hallway, they can be in the corner on a beanbag chair. I mean, they could learn wherever as long as they're doing their thing. They can come in and do math if that's what they really feel like doing. They don't have to do a subject at a set amount of time. I find it incredibly freeing.
We can go to the classes we need to work on when we need to work on them, which I really like that.
It's freedom. Back then we used to be at a certain place at a certain time, and that's that. Now you have leniency. You can go here, you can go there, but it's your job to get your work done.
Probably biggest challenge and the most meaningful to overcome is really changing the narrative for students. And that is to get our students to understand that they have a pathway that's opened for them, that they can take this knowledge of owning their learning and empower their lives so that they can leave here planning and prepping for where they want to be and where they want to go, and have the power to do that.
These iPads are really working, and I've heard like some students say that it's good because you get to do it all on one thing. You can just take it home and do it whenever. And like I said, if you're behind, you get to have that chance to take responsibility of your own self.
Wyatt's been passed on and passed on and passed on, and he's blossoming, and I've never seen anything like it, quite honestly. I mean, he loves school. He looks forward after summer break. He's like, when is school starting? Before, he'd cry and he never wanted to be here. So no, Wilder really needs to be recognized for what they're doing out here.
So there you have it. It's a lot to take in and to think about, I know. But I hope it's been as eye-opening for you as it's been for me and for all the parents whose kids attend Wilder schools, because we all want the best possible opportunities for our kids to succeed and excel. And as Jessica just said, what they're doing here in Wilder is amazing.